The door that knocked back. The fog crept through Rookery Lane like a living thing, thick enough to muffle the gas lamps and coil around a passerby's ankles with cold, damp fingers. Inspector Bram Hensley pulled his coat tighter as he approached number 19, the most complained about address in the quarter. Not for crime, not for noise, but for a single peculiar disturbance. The door knocked, by itself. It happened at all hours, residents said. Sometimes gentle, sometimes violent, as though someone outside were begging to be let in. But whenever anyone opened the door, nothing waited beyond it but fog and the echo of fading sound. Tonight, the reports had taken a stranger turn. The knocks weren't coming from the street any longer. They were coming from inside the house, knocking outward. Hensley hated the unnatural cases. They had a habit of beginning with superstition and ending with paperwork. Still, duty was duty, and he raised a gloved hand to the brass knocker before him. It felt oddly warm. That was the first thing. The second was that the knocker shifted under his fingers. He snatched his hand back. The metal hung still, but Hensley felt the echo of movement, like something beneath the surface had twisted, reacting to his touch. "Inspector!" a woman's voice whispered sharply. He turned to find Mrs. Amara Pike, caretaker of number 19, a crisp, anxious woman in her late 50s. She held a lantern that did almost nothing to battle the fog. "You heard it again?" Hensley asked. "Over an hour of knocking," she said. "But now it's stopped, except—" Her trembling gaze drifted to the door. "It's learned to answer." Before he could ask what she meant, the knocker rattled twice, sharp, deliberate. Knock, knock. Mrs. Pike gasped. Hensley forced himself forward and pushed the door open. Silence. The foyer beyond was empty. He stepped inside, lantern in hand. Shadows clung to the stairwell like damp stains, and the air was cold enough to nip skin. The door creaked shut behind him with a soft thud. The knocker answered with a thud of its own, from the inside. Mrs. Pike slipped in behind him. It only started doing that after the lodger vanished. Which lodger? A Mr. Holden Reeves, rented the top room, disappeared 3 nights ago. We thought he'd left early for work, but— Her voice faltered. He left everything behind. Wallet, coat, boots. No one voluntarily left boots behind in December. Hensley ascended the stairs. Each tread groaned as if the house disliked the intrusion. At the landing, a single door was shut tight. Reeves's room. 3 scratches marred the wood. Vertical. Deep. As though carved by someone desperate to escape. Hensley exchanged a glance with Mrs. Pike, then pushed the door open. Dust motes shimmered in the lantern light. A desk strewn with loose papers. A narrow bed, unmade. A window swollen shut by the damp. Nothing unusual, until he saw the second door. It stood beside the wardrobe, a small, narrow thing, no knob, no hinges, just a frame and a panel of aged wood. A door that should not exist. "I've never seen that before," Mrs. Pike whispered. "Did Mr. Reeves have visitors?" "No. He was quiet, a clerk by day, a writer by night. He only ever said the house had a temperament. I thought he meant the drafts." Hensley approached the strange door. Though no hinge held it, the door sat perfectly within its frame. As he reached out, the lantern light caught a smear on the threshold. Blood. Dried, but not old. He knelt. The smear trailed into the door, as if someone had been dragged through it. Before he could comment, something tapped from the other side. Knock, knock. Hensley froze. Mrs. Pike whimpered. Another knock. Then a scraping sound. Slow, drawing closer. Hensley swallowed, steadied himself and pressed his palm to the door. It pressed back. "Step outside," he told Mrs. Pike quietly. He waited until her footsteps retreated down the hall. Then he pushed. The door gave way more easily than expected, swinging inward into pitch darkness. A breath of cold air swept out. rustling the papers on the desk. Hensley stepped inside and found himself staring at the back of the house's front door. He blinked. He was in the foyer again. He turned. Behind him, where the narrow door should have been, there was only smooth wall. A sick realization unfurled. The knocking that came from inside the house was not inside at all. It was between. A sound reverberated through the foyer, 3 rapid knocks, loud enough to shake the knocker. Hensley spun toward the front door and grabbed the handle. It resisted, just for a second, before flinging open with violent force. Mrs. Pike screamed behind him, but outside there was only fog. Fog, and something lying on the stoop. A man, pale, unconscious. Hensley knelt, checking for a pulse. Alive. "Mr. Reeves," he murmured. The man's eyes fluttered open, glassy, terrified. "They kept me in the dark," he croaked, "behind the door that shouldn't open." Hensley stiffened. "Who is they?" But Reeves only whispered one last thing before fainting again. "Don't answer when it knocks back."